Hello, light seekers. It's Amly, your everyday light worker, here today to talk to you about paradigms and developing an abundance consciousness to bust up the paradigms. I have with me my handy dandy 3D notebook. This is my notebook where I write about 3D. And that's what 3D looks like, doesn't it? It looks absolutely scary. I mean, you just want to scream when you look at the 3D world that is being presented to us. Um, but I want to explain. I told you guys that Lori Ladd did an amazing job at explaining paradigms, but I want to explain in my own words what the 3D paradigms are because I'm going to launch the abundance consciousness for July 1st. So tomorrow, check me out for the abundance, the 21-day abundance challenge for July. July energy is very important energy to create the sort of consciousness that you want to have going forward. So, I'm going to be talking a lot about abundance consciousness. But in order to understand how we're so brainwashed out of abundance consciousness, so we have this 3D lack, scarcity, fear consciousness that is all over the 3D grid. So think about what we think of the world. You know, we think of it as a globe. It may or may not be. I don't know. I'm not even going to get into that flat earth stuff. I'm not getting into none of that. But we have, what we consider the world. Think of it as having like an iron grid that has been imprisoning it. That is the 3D consciousness. It's been just a dark, oppressive, dense consciousness locked on to people's brains, kind of brainwashing them into always being afraid of everything all the time. All right. So that's breaking down. And we're moving out of that. And that's why there's so much chaos right now because the 3D grid is completely breaking down. We don't know what's going to replace it. Um, there are all kinds of theories. So there are theories that a lot of the conspiracy theorists and truthers out there. So Matt, who I talk about, he's considered a truther. A lot of people call truthers conspiracy theorists, and a lot of times conspiracy theorists are unfairly demonized. I don't want to get into that, but I don't demonize the truthers or the conspiracy theorists. I listen because a lot of what they say kind of explains what I'm talking about, this 3D grid being so oppressive. The truthers get into, yeah, something is not right here, something is really oppressive, something is really wrong here. What is going on? They look for answers. Some of their answers seem really crazy and really far fetched, but some of them, I tell you what, they really do explain what is wrong very well. And, as far as brainstorming with why are things so wrong, I'm all for it. Just throw out all the crazy ideas because we need to understand what is so wrong. But as far as what we do about what is so wrong, it's all about your consciousness, the level of consciousness that you are vibrating at. And so our consciousness starts, we think it starts with our minds, but it's also about our hearts. And we're just now waking up as a human collective to how energetic and powerful the heart is, how powerful the emotions are that come from the heart. So, whatever heart emotions you have, if you have sadness or if you have joy, whatever end of the spectrum you're at with that heart consciousness, you need to understand that it's very, very powerful and very creative. So, if you're feeling sad, you are feeding the 3D grid. The 3D grid runs off of those kinds of energies. Um, just sucks them up. It sucks up sadness, depression, fear. All of the low vibrating energies are what the 3D grid needs to sustain itself. Now we're trying to build a 5D grid that is crystalline, lighter. Um, I I have difficulty imagining what the 5D grid is like, just that it is a lot less oppressive and it just allows for everything because it's based in a different kind of consciousness. The 5D grid is based in unity consciousness and abundance consciousness. The 3D grid is based in egoic consciousness, lack, scarcity, fear consciousness. So let's talk about that 3D grid and how it has been so oppressive for so long, and how we can bust up out of the 3D programming and paradigms. So I'm going to talk about 3D paradigms and how, and the programs, and how that's the task to create an abundance consciousness. You have to eliminate the 3D programming and the paradigms from your mind and your heart. You have to eliminate them and really focus on this abundance consciousness. So that's what we're going to be doing with the 21-day abundance challenge. All right. So let's talk about the 3D lack scarcity paradigm. So within the 3D lack scarcity program, this is my very low tech kind of visuals. So we have a 3D lack scarcity paradigm. And within that paradigm, there are so many intersecting lower paradigms. So we have the male supremacy paradigm, the white supremacy paradigm, the wealth supremacy paradigm, the nation supremacy paradigm, the health supremacy paradigm. We have the opposites of that. We have the female inferior paradigm, the non white inferior paradigm, the poverty paradigm, the poor nation paradigm, the sickness paradigm. So these programs, there are so, and then on top of that, each paradigm has its own programs, and each paradigm might intersect with another paradigm with the programming. So I'll break that down in a second. Let's go to the white supremacy paradigm, just because that's what everyone is talking about right now. Everyone is focused on that particular paradigm, the white supremacy paradigm. So, okay, we have this program, we have the white supremacy paradigm. And in that paradigm, there are tons of programs that run. So, one program is, in order for your life to matter, you have to be white and wealthy and male. So that's one of the programs that runs in that paradigm. So if you're not that, there's something wrong with you, there's something lacking. So that ties into the bigger 3D lack scarcity paradigm. Um, Another program, white people are good and black and brown people are bad. So a lot of people buy into that programming, of all races, of any race. A lot of people buy into that paradigm. For example, a lot of Asian people buy into that paradigm, even though they're neither white nor black, but they buy that programming. White people are good, black and brown people are bad. And they run that programming in their own culture, as a lot of times darker skinned Asians are not treated as well as lighter skinned Asians. Another program, only white lives matter and only under certain conditions. Um, Another program, black lives don't matter. Another program, white or light skin is better than darker colored skin. As I said, as I explained with the Asians, they have a lot of problems with colorism. Program, it's okay for the police to murder black people because they are a threat. So all of these programs are running in the white supremacy paradigm, and there's tons of them. Like every paradigm has at least 1,000 programs running in them. The trick for you as a person, if you don't want to get caught up in any of these paradigms, is ignore it. I swear to God. I have never gotten really caught up in the white supremacy paradigm because I largely just never, I ignore it, and it's a lot of complicated reasons as to why I was able to, because you might not be able to ignore a paradigm. A paradigm might come and punch you in the face, and at that time you're probably going to give your energy to it. So that happened to me with regards to the female um, inferior paradigm. So let's get to that paradigm. So another paradigm is the female inferiority paradigm. Can you see that? Bring that up. So in that paradigm, this paradigm is way older than even the white supremacy paradigm. It's a really, really old paradigm that does a lot of damage to half of the population. So this is a paradigm that you have to really, really work hard if you're a woman and if you're a man not to buy into. And it's hard. And I have been a victim of this paradigm. I'll be the first to say that I was caught up in this paradigm for a long time. So, what are the programs in this paradigm? Women are not as good as men. Women are inferior to men. Women are not supposed to speak when men are speaking. I remember the first time somebody said that to me. I was ready to just punch them in the face. It's like, really? A lot of darkness in this particular light worker. It's been a journey getting to wanting to be about the light. And, I still got some of that darkness. All right. Um, Women are only valuable if they are attractive. So that's a big program that it just does a real mind fuck on women everywhere. It also is a a program that intersects with the white supremacy programming. So this is how it intersects. Women are only attractive if they are blonde and thin. So you see how the programs and the paradigms work, and how they intersect with um, with each other, and they just create a mess, which I'm going to call egoic consciousness. So that is my last little visual here. I should, you know what? I have Canva. I can go on Canva and make, these graphics, but I don't really know how. So I'm just going to draw them until I can find a graphic designer who will do this for me. Okay, so egoic consciousness is the ego saying, I'm small, I'm powerless, I'm cut off from my divinity. I need one of these paradigms to make me whole. So this is where we get these paradigms. This is where these paradigms come from. It comes from the ego trying to the ego is the part of you that has like completely cut itself off from God, and the universe, because people say it's a game that we all agreed to play. We were like, we're going to come down to earth and we're going to play this game of being separate from our divinity and just see what happens. It's an experiment. Let's see what happens. Let's see, how we do. It doesn't look like we're doing too well with that. But so, we have this egoic consciousness, and we then grab onto whatever paradigm we can grab onto to try and make ourselves feel um, good, or you know it doesn't make us feel good, but it makes us feel like we have a place in the world, on this plane. So which paradigm you buy into depends on just what programming you've been exposed to. So if you live in the United States, for example, you buy into this whole my nation is superior paradigm. So that's nation superior paradigm. And then if you're white in the United States, you're really buying into the white male supremacy paradigm. Um, and that intersects with the wealth paradigm. So, based on where you are in the world, and what kind of programming you've been subjected to in this egoic consciousness, that determines what kind of paradigms you play in. Now, understand that it's always your choice. You have a choice as to what kind of paradigm you play in. So, you could believe you can believe these things, these programs and these paradigms are true, and they will become true for you. So that's how programs and paradigms work. You buy into the paradigm, you buy into the programming. That's the reality that you're going to create. It's not going to be an entirely pleasant paradigm. So, like, let's look at the poor nation paradigms. These are the third world countries, and they're going to have paradigms around, being in that third world country and believing that they're inferior because they don't have the material things the first world countries have. And all of this comes from this egoic consciousness. I'm small, I'm powerless, I'm cut off from my divinity. I need a paradigm. All right. So this is the consciousness that is very 3D. Did I write that? Yeah. Well, let me write that. Very 3D consciousness here. All right. Now, let's move into abundance consciousness. So, abundance consciousness is when your higher self says, I'm vast, I contain multitudes, I am infinite, I am unlimited. All right. And with that consciousness, you know that you can create. Let me back up so you can see my face and my book. You can create whatever you want. with your heart and mind. You understand you're not lacking in any way. You're not lacking anything. Everything that you ever need is inside of you. You are the truth, you are love, and you are the light. Okay? So that's the kind of consciousness. This is 4D, 5D consciousness. This is what you need to tap into in order to, number one, escape the 3D consciousness and to be a part of that 4D, 5D consciousness and grid and experiences. So that's what this abundance challenge is about. It's about tapping into that kind of higher consciousness. Now, the higher consciousnesses are just all throughout all kinds of spiritual texts. And um, with the 21-day challenge, we're going to be listening to Deepak Chopra meditations. And in these meditations, what he does is that he does a really nice meditation. So if you're not accustomed to doing meditations, Deepak is just wonderful to start with because he is so, first of all, his voice is so peaceful. He knows how to really guide you into a meditational state really quickly. So he puts on nice music, he does a nice countdown, and then he gives you this abundance mantra that comes from ancient Vedic texts. So Vedic texts are like, Indian spiritual texts, and they're old. Like I want to say anywhere from 2,000 to 10,000 years old. I don't know, but they all um, state these universal laws of abundance consciousness in different ways. They say it in different ways, but ultimately they're all saying something along the lines of I am connected to everything. I am a part of the universe. I am as infinite as the universe. So these meditations that he does have all of those mantras included in them. So some of the mantras. So the very first meditation that Deepak does in this, he has the mantra "So hum." Is the one that you hear. You listen to the meditation, and then he'll say, "Repeat this mantra, so hum," over and over again. So hum means I am that. Another one that he does is Aham Brahmasi. My infinite core is the only reality that there is. I mean, think about that. My infinite core is the only reality that there is. I really like that one. I don't know why. But, it makes you think, okay, if that's the only reality that there is, my infinite core, what the hell is all this other crap around me? Why am I even bothering with that? So I guess that's why I like that one. It makes me feel very strong and powerful inside myself. My infinite core is the only reality that there is. Um, Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss. Um, you know, in this 21-day challenge, Deepak Chopra is constantly reinforcing the idea that number one, abundance is all around you. And the easiest way to connect with the abundance that's all around you is to look at what is in your natural world. Like, look at the trees. If you go outside and you look at trees, just how many leaves there are, and just what an intricate ecosystem there is around the trees. I mean, there's so much life. There's just like ants and ladybugs and butterflies and just so much life contained in the ecosystems that are nature. And you tap into, just spend some time looking at that abundance. And you start to feel abundance. You begin to understand how, there is all of that abundance just in nature, and that you are connected to that. You're not apart from that. You are abundant. You are limitless. So that's the consciousness that we're trying to cultivate in this 21-day challenge, because right now the 3D grid is just nonstop blaring at us. Lack, scarcity, lack. They're always talking about, oh, the financial, there's going to be a recession. It's going to turn into depression. We're going to the dollar's going to crash, and then everything in the world's going to be all bad, and there's not going to be enough food, and there's not going to be enough jobs, and they're just constantly blaring this at us nonstop. So I feel like we really need to counteract that by tapping into our abundance consciousness. The my infinite, I love that. What is Aham Brahmasi? What is it? I love it. My My infinite core is the only reality there is. That's just lovely. All right. So um, that's all that I have on paradigms. I hope that I really explain paradigms to you and how you need to break away from the 3D paradigm. So here's what I need you to do before you start the challenge. Think about all of the paradigms that you run, all the programs that you run, where you tell yourself, I'm lacking in some way, or there's not enough of something, or I'm afraid of something. Like, write down all of that crap and make a commitment to let that go. Anything that makes you feel like you are less than within yourself, whether it's, your gender, the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, anything that you have been holding on to that makes you feel like you're lacking within yourself, you got to let that go. So clear that shit out. Um, and then you got to start trying to ground in this abundance consciousness. And I know it's strange because we've all been so programmed into these limited 3D consciousnesses. But I have been working with abundance consciousness since March of this year. And I'm here to tell you that it works. The more I ground in this consciousness, the more abundance I experience. And the less that lack scarcity 3D programming has a hold on me. So it's real and it works, and it's what you got to do if you're ready to move up out of 3D, and that's what I'm really committed to, getting the hell up out of 3D. Okay, so come on, let's bust up these paradigms. All right, bye. Love ya.